Hello and welcome back to the Let's Talk Horse Business podcast with me, George Betson, equestrian business strategist and founder of Fonture Equine Transport, one of the fastest growing horse transport businesses here in the UK. And on today, we are reaching our final step of 5 steps that I've been talking about in the past couple of months. And that is of the Reins system that I've put together to help you build, grow, and identify your businesses better, stronger for the future. Over the past 4 episodes that I've covered over the past few weeks, we've covered my Reins system with R as reframing, seeing yourself as a business owner. E, engaging with your clients, attracting the right clients for you. Innovating, standing out where others are not through growth and change. And nurturing your clients, building lasting relationships. But today we're on to the S of Reins, and that is scale. How do we go through this process that I've displayed to you? And now at the end of it, where do we go from here? Well, it's all about scaling. The idea of scaling is so that you can build a business that can reach more people, make more income, and have a bigger impact without burning yourself out or sacrificing quality. So let's get into it. When we start talking about scaling, it can sound a bit daunting because often it means something more than what we've already got or what we think that we can achieve. But really what it is it's a planned and sustainable way where you can serve more people and clients, deliver more, but without burning yourself out, more stress or hours. Because let's face it, we only have a certain amount of hours in any one day. Scaling is about systems, delegation, expansion strategies to increase your revenue while protecting your sanity. That might look like hiring more staff in the equestrian space. Perhaps you want to work or partner with other professionals. Maybe it's new services or revenue streams, which we would have already looked at in the innovation section, but now we look about how we're implementing those to go further. Whether it's expanding your facilities, your fleet, in my instance, or maybe it's online presence, getting more people to know about you. Scaling can also be about creating other products or services within what you already do that are indefinitely recreatable, indefinitely able to add more value. For example, memberships or online programs. There's something that you can do today with what you're already doing, but that can continue and consistently bring you a revenue. So scaling isn't about just growing and getting bigger. It's about being smarter, and that in its turn is going to give you what you desire to. Someone might say to me, well, why scale? I'm quite happy doing all these hours. Well, or perhaps you don't want to grow. And that's fine too, but maybe this podcast isn't for you. But I would say to you, why would you want to scale and why does that matter? Well, if you're not scaling, you're going to be hitting a ceiling at some point. And if you've gone through these 5 steps, I can guarantee you, if you haven't got through those 5 steps and we've got to the scale section and you're not wondering, well, I want more, what's next? Well, then I would be very surprised. Because you will have gone through a stage of reframing your thinking and engaging with all your clients, innovating. So not only have you done the most incredible work on your business rather than in your business, you've now got the most incredible relationships which you've designed based upon the process. You've got a business set up that you love based upon the process. And I don't believe that anyone's going to go through this process on something that they're just really mediocre about. So if you've gone through this, you've gone through those 4 steps, you got the most incredible clients, you will absolutely think, how can I serve more people and grow this further? And that is why it matters. And that is why we do it at the very end. So let's think about this. I've heard this saying, this analogy many times, but please forgive me if I get it wrong. A grasshopper in a field. I think it's a grasshopper they use for this example, but it has the freedom to jump and do whatever it wants. However high it wants to go, however far it wants to go, it will do it. But if you get that same insect and pop it in a jar and pop a lid on it, that grasshopper or insect will jump and hit the lid. But that grasshopper will only hit that lid so many times before every time it jumps, it now narrowly misses the lid. So what's happened there? The grasshopper knows it can only jump within its means. So by hitting its head so many times and falling back down, it now knows it can only jump to X point, and that's its environment. So that's what it will do for the rest of its life if it's left in there. And then you can lift that lid off, and that will still jump to the same point just below that lid. Because it's been restricted. Its environment has made it feel and be in a certain way, and now it's conditioned to those environmental elements. And I can liken that to some of us. We get stuck where we are because we either believe that we are only able to do this and stay within this space that we're in. And it's really hard to break through the barriers and go, actually, no, I can achieve whatever I want to achieve. That lid isn't my boundary. As soon as I link it all back, because as soon as you've gone through the reframing process, I can liken it to lifting that lid off of that grasshopper or insect. Although the grasshopper hasn't got the ability to work out it can go higher. But we absolutely do. This world is infinite. What we can do out there today is infinite. And with a need and a want and a must, we can absolutely go out there and go further. So what I'm trying to say to you is, when you go through the process of the Reins system, you will get to this point and you will wonder, what's next? You will outgrow your capacity. And that is where we continue to work and go outside of that lid that we've placed on ourselves, because that's all it is. If you're listening to this episode, there's a very good chance that you too have horses. You must be, or are quite likely to be, in the equestrian space. Well, I wanted to make you aware, if you don't know already, that I am the director of Fonchor Equine Transport. We are a national horse transport business offering the very best vehicles, the safest and the cleanest spaces for your horses to travel in. So whether it's a trip to the show, trip to the vets, or perhaps you've bought a new horse, we have got the service that you need. And not only that, I now offer consultancy. If you're an equestrian transport business or an equestrian business looking to get started in any area, well, you should get in touch, because alongside this podcast and the network of people that I am building here, I also want to help you. So find the link in the bio, in the show notes, and let's connect. So, if you're ready to scale, there's a number of different benefits for you. So let me run through those, because you might be wondering why scale. You might be wondering it's more headaches, more this and more that. Well, actually, if it's done correctly and sustainably, it's actually really, really effective, because what scaling is going to allow you to do is increase your revenue potential. It's indefinite. It really is indefinite. You can earn more, but without working more. And someone will come back at me and say, but I'll have to have staff and I'll work more because they always call in sick and there's always problems, or, my clients want me and I can't replicate myself. But actually, if we do this correctly, if your team can do 80% of what you can do, 95% of your clients are going to be very, very happy. So the benefit of scaling, firstly, is higher revenue potential. Earning more without actually physically doing more, because your hours are limited in a day, and we've been through that before. Better work-life balance. So this is something that I'm really working on in my own spaces as well, is realizing that I can earn, or any of us can earn X amount if we do what we're doing every day, all day, and filling our hours. That is what it is. But suddenly, if you had 2 or 3 I can only really liken this. The best description I've got is if I've got 2 or 3 horse boxes. Okay. So I've got one box, I'm driving it, my hours are full, I can't earn any more. Now I've got, let's just argument's sake say 2 horse boxes. So I can still do the same work, and I can still fill my hours, and I can still earn what I was earning. But now I've got another box where all my overflow work goes to. And every time that box goes out for a full day, not only am I servicing my clients who I'm not letting down anymore, not only am I giving someone else a job and helping them fulfill what they need, I'm also at the back end of it getting another profit. So I'm increasing my revenue, I'm increasing my client retention because I'm not letting anybody down, but I'm also making more money. Now we have to think about that. Everyone that says it's a headache having another box. Well, if you're flat out with one, I'm giving away all my secrets here, my own business, I probably shouldn't be doing that. But if you've got one, you're limited. If you get another one, you've got growth potential. If you've got another one, you can employ someone else, pay them. Again, you're making a profit on that. So now for argument's sake, I've got one box that I'm out full time in. And now I've got 2 boxes with drivers, with a team. Now, my profit with the team is less. That's given because I'm paying somebody. But now I'm earning what I'm earning, and I'm earning, I don't know, £100 per other box that's out all day profit. So now I'm earning my, I don't know, argument's sake, £200. The second box is giving me another £100, plus I've paid the team and all the expenses. And the third box is giving me another £100. So now I'm earning, what did I say, £400. So how about now? Maybe I put a driver in my third box that I was in, and they're getting what they need out of it, and I'm getting another £100. So now, theoretically speaking, I'm earning £300 for every day that those boxes are all out, and I don't have to be in the driving seat. Wow. How is that changing somebody's life? Have you thought about it that way with your own business? I've digressed a little bit off of the plan for today, but I'm just hoping that that helps you picture it. Let's think of another business option. It can be, anyone could do this. And by no means it's easy, but running through the process and taking it step by step, anybody can do this. Not everybody should do this, but anybody can do this if they would like to. Whether you're a saddle fitter, even physios potentially, or livery yards potentially. Let's take a livery yard for a very, very quick example, because I have got to get back to where my plan for today. You're a livery yard owner listening to this, and you have a 10 box yard, and at the moment you do all the work, okay? And so you essentially start your morning at whatever time that might be for you, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You work all morning to do those 10 horses, whether it's muck them out, sort them out, so on and so forth. You might, if you're lucky, get a couple of hours in the middle, and then you're back to sort them out at the end of the day. And that's making you, I'm guessing now, but let me just make a random figure, £300 a day after all your expenses. What you do now is you get somebody in to help you at £150 a day. Now, by the way, for £150 a day, you'd have someone more or less full-time on a 10 box yard, which is basically nearly enough, in my opinion, to cover most of the yard. So now you could get another yard, or perhaps you could build more stables, but there's so many ways you can go about it in livery. But let me just take the example, you get another yard. You get another 10 box yard. You fill it with 15 stables. Well, you've got 5 more stables. So your income is probably going to be 50% more than on your 10 box stables, potentially, if you get all the figures right. There's so many variables in this, but you just got to take it with a pinch of salt. Now, your £300 on your yard is now going to be £450 on the next yard, but you need 1.5 staff members. So you pay out, £250, £300 for that yard, but you're still profiting at the end of it. So can you just see, though, what I'm trying to illustrate here is that the economy of scale actually works in your favor. And if we set it up correctly, not only are we increasing higher revenue potentials, but we're getting better work-life balance. Because you're not actually having to do the work anymore because of the way we're setting it up properly. And then by doing this and in growing your businesses and growing your potential, you're increasing your brand, and therefore you have a larger market influence that allows you to not only grow your brand and your reputation, but your trust as an expert. And what does that do? Well, that increases your prices, because no longer are you on a race to the bottom, because you are the best and people know you. Opportunities to help more people. Not only are you going to help more people in terms of serving more horses and owners, you're going to help more people into work. You're going to help more people have opportunities, and you're going to help more people grow a community, which in this day and age, I absolutely believe we lack now massively. And that is another massive benefit to going along and scaling. And then by doing this, you're future-proofing it as well, because nobody wants to be selling their time for money in the long run. Nobody wants to be doing their 40, 50, 60, 80, 90 hours a week, which some people are doing out there, when you're 65, 70, 80, even 50. Is that really what you want to be doing? Maybe you do. Maybe you do. But if you're listening to this, there's a good chance you don't. So by scaling, you're future-proofing. You're creating options to sell. You're creating enough value that someone could sell. You're creating the right systems, processes, and value to sell on. You can have succession, legacy, families, however you want to position your business. So why wouldn't you scale? Can you see why it matters? Now, scaling isn't for everyone. I'll put that caveat in there. I always like to throw in the negatives or the opposite side. It isn't for everyone. It isn't easy. But what I'm saying to you is, if you've got through my processes here, you've done all of the systems, it is absolutely the best thing for you now. So part of going to make your business scalable is creating clear, repeatable systems and processes. So by scaling is going to force you to create documentation, video content, training programs that others can take forward and run it thereafter. Because to be scalable, it needs to be repeatable. To be repeatable, you've got to have things in place which make it very clear how you run your businesses, your cultures, your standards. And that is a big part of scaling. And actually that's so valuable because it actually increases your value proposition to your clients in the long run. By scaling, you're going to have a team or contractors or whoever that might be for you who understand and reflect your standards. So this comes back to, people will say, oh, but they can't do it as well as me. It won't be good enough. People want me. But actually, if you can create the right systems and processes, that people understand what you're doing, they will also then reflect your standards. And that will mean that in a good case, they should be hitting sort of 80% of what you were achieving. So if your clients say you're the 100%, there's absolutely no reason that your team and your staff couldn't go forward and do that at 80%. And 80% will get you a lot further with growing your business than trying to always do 100% yourself. And that is where the important point is. You need to start, and then with this, we're going to look at pricing it to be a business for growth and not just survival. That's another really key important part as to why we scale and what we'll be looking at. And then it's also the infrastructure, whether you're physical, digital, and ready to increase demand. That's what it's all about, increasing demand and growing something more than it is. So scaling isn't about doing something yourself. It's about building something bigger than you. Now, your next question will be, well, how do we scale? I've told you some of the benefits of scaling, why it matters, why you might want to consider it, what it is, but how can you go about doing it? Now, I've touched on this, and I'm just going to go into 5 steps of exactly the steps you could take to start looking to scale yourself. So, first of all, you need to go through your documents and build them into a system. Or in other words, if you haven't got any documents, you need to make some documents in a systematic way. So for example, you might want to start by creating And this does take time. This is what it's called. This is what it is when you're working on your business, by the way. This is where the mindset will have hopefully been changed through the reframing process. You need to start by writing down your onboarding process for your clients. Working out a way to systematically schedule your communications and your meetings and your appointments. You might write down your feeding routines, for example, so they're really clear and everyone else can read them. And so this is all part of making it easy to train others or automate the business. So this is step one. This is where we start. What can be automated and what does that system need to look like? What do other people need to know and how are we going to present that to them? If somebody's coming on board, how do they know who we are and what we stand for? That's step one. Step two is then identifying the bottlenecks in the business. So again, if you've been following through this process and you've gone all the way through it and you got to this point, you might wonder why or how to go next or what the next step is. Well, you need to firstly identify what's stopping you. Are you the bottleneck? Is your facility the bottleneck? Why is it slowing down? Why are you slowing down your growth? Because if you can work out what the limiting factor is, that is the first place that we can go, well, what are we doing about this? Is it the fact that we need to get involved with some new outsourcing? Do we need to look at a personal assistant, a virtual assistant? Do we need to take you out of something to put you somewhere else? What is the bottleneck? And I would say that in most cases, it will be you. It will be something that you should be doing or need to be doing that you're unable to do, don't know how to do, and procrastinate on it. Now, this is probably the biggest sticking block I come across. Now, if you find there's a task that you are struggling with, whether it be accounting, marketing, social media influencing, whether it be having time to outreach to people or organize your diary or build a system that can manage it all for you, well, there's somebody out there that can do it for you. And this is where we start to think about who, not how. There's a couple of concepts I'm bringing in here. Who, not how, is the idea of finding the right person that's going to solve your problem and let them deal with it. Because, for example, if I want to build a comprehensive system to run somebody's business, I could absolutely do that. And so could you. But it might take me 3 months at 10 hours a week to learn how to do it. In my business, I find the right person. So right at this very moment, I am building a system. I think I can let you into way too many secrets here, but I'm building a system. I have gone out my way to find the right person who can build it. And they're working on it as we speak. And the time factor will be like absolutely fractional compared to me doing it myself. And the cost, well, I think you'll be surprised. Now, I don't know how much you know about VAs, PAs, but when people talk about it, they assume it's like a UK full-time wage to get somebody to do this. But no, it doesn't need to be that way. First of all, you can go to platforms like Fiverr, or there's VA outsourcing. Well, Fiverr actually is a great website. It's Fiverr, and on there you can post what you need and someone will come and do it. You can either have them quote it as a fixed price or as an hourly rate, and you can get them to work on something for you, and you can test them out and trial them, and there's very, very little risk. The other option is a VA, where you go out and you find somebody who can do what you need and you employ them on a contractual basis. Now, that isn't going to cost you a lot of money. So let me give you an example. I've employed somebody to do something for me. He's not in the UK, but he's absolutely qualified. He absolutely knows what he's doing, and he will build what I need building or work on what I need working on and I'm paying him for 20 hours a week, and I'm paying £100 a week. Now that to them is a lot of money. But in the UK, what we have to pay for teams and staff is nothing. You can go out there and find somebody to work for you for £4, £5, £6 an hour, and they could do something which you're struggling to do and spending months and months on procrastinating on because you don't know how. But for £4 an hour, £5 an hour. So that is step 2, identifying the bottleneck, and let's find a solution for it. What is the way out of this? Is it outsourcing? Is it moving you from one place to another? Is it a slight redesign? That's where you need to be. And it doesn't have to cost a lot, is what I'm getting at there. And step 3 is consider delegation. Again, that ties in really, actually, I've sort of covered the 2 points there really quickly in terms of, I've told you about the bottlenecks, and then the next step is actually to delegate it. So I've covered that already. Whether it's part-time grooms or drivers, if it needs to be that side of the business, or whether it's the marketing experts or somebody to build something for you or someone to create some marketing material for you, it's hiring or outsourcing. Take your hours back through getting the assistance required, and it does not have to cost you a lot. But what I would say to you is, if you're not sure where to do this, because I used to get very stuck on this, what do I delegate? Where do I start? Well, think about what you like or do not like, and start off with delegating what you do not like, because that is the thing that you were most likely to procrastinate on, and it's something that probably somebody else could do 10 times faster than you. Now we're into thinking about when we did our innovation section and we thought about how we're going to change our business. We now think about how we can scale those offers further. So things which aren't going to take 100% of your time. It needs to be things which can be very much passive on your time. So for example, I mean, these are just examples. Every business is different, but you could have online courses. You could start creating consultations. And instead of doing one-to-one lessons or one-to-one teachings or one-to-one saddle fitting or one-to-one anything, why not make it a group and offer a slight discount, but do many more people, making it way more worthwhile of your time? And then you've got the model of memberships, digital resources, other, things like that, which again are infinitely scalable. Because if I do a one-to-one call, it's me and you talking for an hour. I've only got so many hours in a day. If I have a digital resource or a membership site, it's me to many people, could be tens, could be hundreds, could be thousands. It's all the same piece of content, the same output, the same service, and you've got many more people paying to be part of that program. Can you see what I'm doing there? It's brilliant. And step 5 is plan financially. Now, this is a really important part of the process because scaling does often require a certain amount of investment up front. You either need to take a bit of a leap of faith in terms of what you're going to do, but we need to do that with a measured way, and we need to measure it properly through smart goals and objectives. So the scale offers upfront often includes upfront investment, so whether that be in systems, staff, or marketing. But what we need to do here is find out what your realistic budget is and build a plan from that. Because small 1% growths based on the correct budget that fits your business is way better than lumping in everything you've got and hoping for the best. So creating a really clever plan is the final step here. We go through this and we go, well, what is the plan A to B? What is the event or the thing we need to happen? What is the required response to achieve that outcome? If you don't plan your growth will plan you, and that is not a good thing. Okay? If you don't plan your growth will plan you, and that is not a good thing to do. I don't think I need to explain why that is, but it's that's why we are where we are. Now, it's really, really important that you take these steps, because if you do not, you will become a busy fool with no idea where to turn. You will become that person who has got everything going, but no way of serving. By doing this properly and following this process, you're going to create your ability to have more time off. Or perhaps you don't want time off, but you want time for something else. You're going to create that by scaling, because the ability to outsource and to create more visibility in the world is always going to bring you further income. So being able to walk away and know your business is running without you is a huge weight off your feet. And not only that, what if you were to get ill? What if something happened and you needed some time out? But if you take time out as a self-employed person, you're not getting paid. So why not set it up in a way where you start scaling and know that even if you're not there, you're still being paid and serviced as you should be? You can impact more people by taking these steps. More people, more owners, share more expertise and reach further into the world. Who doesn't want to do that? You could step, and you will be stepping by following this process, I should say, into becoming a true business owner, not just a busy worker. You didn't start this business to be a busy worker, I'm sure. You started it to provide yourself the life and others and your family that you also deserve. So let's take these steps. By scaling and doing this successfully, you're also going to create a business that one day could be sold, passed on, or expanded into new regions, new places. And wow, what would that feel like for you? Because I can tell you, it's amazing. It gives me goosebumps saying it. The goal isn't about working harder. It's about building something for you, even when you're not there. So when should you start looking to scale? Well, when you've gone through this process, I can guarantee you will be ready to scale. But if you haven't done this process and you think you're ready already, well then in which case now is the best time to start, because think about the freedom and the lifestyle that it's going to give you, the time freedom, the money growth, the business growth, the brand building. It's all a massive knock-on effect, and it will absolutely change your life. Once you've reframed your mindset, attracted the right clients, innovated your services, and nurtured your existing relationships, you'll be set to start, and it's time to scale. No more turning away your ideal clients. No more getting booked out and not being able to serve everyone. And also, you'll start to build something which is beyond what you currently believe you could do. And that is magical. So remember, scaling isn't a sprint. It is a strategic process. But the sooner you begin, the sooner you gain the freedom, the flexibility, and the real growth. So thank you ever so much for joining me here today for this next episode on and the final step of the Reins system, which was the scale. With going through this process, as I've said a few times, thinking about your mindset, engaging with your clients more, innovating your products and services, nurturing the people that you need and love the most, and scaling that, you are now going to become the person that is a business owner. This is a practical roadmap which allows you to go from where you are today to where you really, really want to be. It's the perfect line for increasing profitability and for the resilient equestrian businesses. One that you can control and not one that controls you. And that is absolutely, surely, the ultimate goal for all of us equestrian entrepreneurs and business owners out there. If you found these episodes really, really useful, or there's any further feedback that you'd like to give to me, please get in touch. I'd love to hear from you. You can message me your biggest takeaways, tag me on social media, leave me a review, do a little follow on my podcast. That would all help me absolutely, because did you know that we've reached over 40,000 people since we started this podcast? With over 10,000 subscribers, this podcast is growing, and it absolutely shows me there are equestrian business entrepreneurs, influencers out there that all want to grow their businesses. And I really, really am honored to be here and able to share with you some of my knowledge and insights, and hopefully give you something to help you go and do what you want to do too. So until next time though, keep leading, keep growing, and remember, equestrian business is a business. And believe in what you're building for tomorrow. Thank you ever so much. My name's George Betson, and I am the equestrian business strategist and founder of Foncho Equine Transport. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Have the most fantastic day wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and thank you very much. See you on the next episode.